how is everybody's new year? What did everybody do? What are your resolutions,
Uh,
if you have any?
be a better gamer.
Okay.
To stay alive.
The very valiant effort on that one.
We all have to get better at that.
Yeah.
What about you, Aura?
I think given everything in my personal life, it's just kind of like last year was chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
and this year it's the time to like put it all together, like put everything back together again and try to kind of get back to basics. So that's my resolution, and we're already off to a good start. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Love to hear it.
Heck yeah. I've been rather productive this year. I haven't made any resolutions or anything on that topic. It was just like in the past few days I've gotten a lot done, but I've also like
Mhm.
learned how to rest, which is
Good.
weird. I'm very rarely just somebody who's stagnant when I'm like not doing anything. And this week I watched Big Mouth. Yeah.
That weird show?
It's pretty fucking funny, dude.
it's really funny.
it's
I've only seen like the clip or the little trailers that when you're scrolling on Netflix, it pops up. And it just looks super strange.
I think the trailers give it a disservice. I think I started watching that this week and just laughing my ass off. It's really high concept.
Okay.
So if you get a chance,
Uh-huh.
you should definitely check that out.
Well, I'll have to wait. I canceled my Netflix subscription amongst a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Since, gonna need the money.
Yeah. Prepping for the move.
Yeah.
Gonna head down Texas way.
I can't wait for this move to be over, honestly.
So, well, this week we talked about it a little bit in the host chat. Lightrazer, tonight. Welcome to the Planet Destiny. I don't even know how to start this. Welcome to Planet Destiny episode 266. I'm Dan Finity, and tonight we are joined by regular roundtable hosts Aura and Nim Plays.
Hi, you can't see me, but I'm waving.
Yeah, he's totally waving. I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, we also have Lightrazer from our Planet Destiny team. For those who may need a little bit of a reminder, Lightrazer, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do on the internet?
I'm a retired Sherpa because I'm a Stasis in trials. So not enjoying that too much, but I'm just enjoying just playing games.
Mm-hmm. There's been when do you stream on PD? Every Saturday, right?
Yep, Saturday around noon to 3, but that's give or take 1 or 2 hours on each side.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So speaking of that, that's been a lot of conversations this week. This is kind of going to be a loose, short and sweet show, I think. The conversation around PvP. How is everybody feeling about PvP in Destiny at this point in time?
I'll make sure to keep my salt to a minimum on this podcast. Then.
You do you.
Oh, there's too much to talk about with it, though. There's too much.
Mm-hmm. I know the Filler Live had a really excellent conversation about just the general state of how PvP was with Paul Tassi, Tony, and Hoplite. And Descendant Nomad all joining in. Has anybody played Iron Banner this week?
Oh, yeah. A lot.
An extreme amount.
An extreme amount. Okay, so Aura hasn't done any. Nim has. You have. I played a little bit. I played a little bit in the solo playlist. What does
Mhm.
is that where everybody else jumped into?
I've done solo, ran in 2, 3, 4, and a full stack.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in a full stack, you're stomping people. That hasn't changed. If you're solo, it's still a mixed bag. But either way, you're still getting frozen by 6 people.
Mm-hmm. Nim, what about you?
A little bit of everything too. I've been trying to get a steady hand, and I finally got a really good role. But I've played a lot of freelance. I've played a lot of with like friends, like 2 or 3 stacks.
Mm-hmm.
I am of the type of person that doesn't take this game seriously, so it like stasis doesn't bother me as much.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there are things that are a little bit strong. Looking at you, Whisper of Fissures. But outside of that, I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got like a killer roll on my steady hand, and dude, like the synergy between the role that I have and using stuff like the Berserker mod from the artifact and Whisper of Hedrons is insane. It's been super fun.
So the steady hand, that's the 120 hand cannon, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
That just came out. That came with this Iron Banner, right?
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
Yes. So what perks are you looking for on it when you're grinding for it?
For that, I mean, ideally, you'd want to kind of like max out the stability for
Mhm.
something like that,
Mhm.
because it does have like a really heavy recoil to it since it hits like a truck.
Mhm.
The role that I I ended up getting, let me pull it up here real fast. I have Ishtar up. Is Killing Wind and Swashbuckler. Now, I know there's a lot of people who would swap out Swash for something else. But honestly, it's been working for me. I just got it like maybe 2 days ago, and I've masterworked, and it's already up to like 324 Guardian kills in Crucible. That's because I'm running an Empowering Rift, and I'm running the Berserker mod, which is from the seasonal artifact. So if you guys don't know what that one does, whenever you use your super, and depending on how many people you kill during the super, afterwards you get a damage multiplier.
Mhm.
So with something like a steady hand, you could easily just 2-tap people from like a mile away.
It'd be worse if you were using Lunas too. Then you'd have that
Mhm.
D1. You'd have that
Yeah.
D1 last word range.
But
You-
I'm toxic, so I'm using Claws of Ahamkara.
Oh, come on.
I gotta keep Whisper of Hedrons going as often as I can, So
The freezing.
Yep.
The freezing.
Oh boy.
So I've had a blast, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. to the
Other
point
people
where-
not, but I've had a blast.
to the point where people are leaving messages on your Steam account.
Yes. Considering changing my Steam name to yes, I crouch on Stasis.
Just
Do it,
stasis
you
me.
won't.
Yeah.
Oh. So yeah, I played a little bit of Iron Banner in solo playlist. I had an
Mhm.
okay time
Mhm.
with it.
Mhm.
I haven't spent a lot of time doing it. I've been mainly like trying to get the ship from the Coup mission. Who here has played that this week?
I did it like literally after I watched you do it because you spoiled the cutscene for me.
I'm sorry. I apologize. There's probably going to be spoilers for the cutscene this week in this episode.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. You've had a week.
Hasn't been a week yet. It's been like 5 days and some change.
Hey, that's a work week, my guy.
That's in Destiny speak. That's months, dude.
Yeah.
I've already done. I should have done it the first day.
I was busy in Iron Banner.
So with this week, we got the Coup de Gras mission. That was the Hive Celebrant, Savathun's Hive Celebrant, that you could tune your lure for. and go do that mission on the oh my god, I'm spacing so hard
Dreaming
right now.
City?
In the Dreaming City. Oh my god, yeah. So you were able to go there and do the mission. What did everybody feel about the mission? It had its quirks. Did it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It
I-
most definitely did.
Yeah, I ran it the first day with Radaka and Jaden, and
Uh-huh.
we couldn't get past the first orb.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just no matter what we were doing. And I found most success when running it solo
hmm
instead of like chipping away at it slowly with a group.
Yeah.
How's everybody's play style worked on that?
It did give me some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problems at all. I ran it solo today.
Mm-hmm.
No glitches, no nothing. I mean, I knew from what Bungie had stated on Twitter to take my time and not like plow through it like I probably normally would have,
Mhm.
but I had no issues, no glitches, no nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew it was farmable until you mentioned that you can replay it for a ship apparently, I guess. But
Mhm.
yeah, I got it done today.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
I think they made it so that like you could do it as for a pinnacle once per week, but as the Destiny community does, it always finds a workaround for a farmable tactic, especially for the
Yeah.
ship, which is like a super rare drop. So you can charge your lure with the Hive Celebrant mod, fly into the mission, reset it entirely, and then run to the end, kill the Hive Celebrant for a chance at the ship, and then you can keep doing that over and over again as long as you don't like expend the lure for that week on that character.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So it is. I did that toward the end of stream. And I mean, lore wise, it's story.
Mission.
It is mission. It is story. I think they're setting up the crow. They're definitely setting up the crow, at least like humor wise, as a replacement for Cade 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely seems that way.
Yeah. So it's
I don't mind it.
yeah, it's a pretty good mission. How did with the pacing of it,
hmm
and I felt like it was a good mission overall.
hmm
Once again, kind of like locking out the stages for damage is whatever. But
Yeah.
we've talked about that before on the show. When it comes to the ending and that ending cutscene, what were your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it
So-
was for the chorus for like Spider, like overly snarky, like
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to talk about the fact that this is a spoiler alert, by the way. If you haven't
Yeah.
completed the mission yet, this is a spoiler. We're not going to talk about the fact that Spider kicks us out of the lair and then like we respawn in the Tangled Shore and the crow is sitting directly next to the spider and the first thing on your quest line to do is to go and talk to the spider.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, I think we should talk about it because it's a very weird living situation.
Like it has all the feel of an end of season,
Right.
like crescendo lore. This is the end of the season mission.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
last season we go to the tower and we watch like the traveler do whatever,
Yeah.
the live event. Like that's what this felt like. But
Mhm.
it's smack dab in the middle of the season. And so now the crow is free, but the crow still lives next to Spider.
Yeah.
And we're not only not at odds with Spider, we can still go and use him as a vendor for
Yeah.
whatever. And he picked up right where he left off with his sayings and
Nothing really
Yeah.
changes.
no.
Yeah.
And when you talk about Destiny being a living, evolving platform, this isn't it?
That didn't feel like it. Maybe it's not over.
Do you not think it's over?
Maybe there's something. I mean, how many days do we have until the next season? Like 30?
It's less than 30 now. I want to
4
say
weeks.
we're sitting
4
at like
weeks.
27, 27 days as of the time of
It's
this
still a
recording.
couple of weeks. I mean, because aren't there still triumphs that have yet to be found
I think so.
regarding this season? So maybe it's not entirely like maybe we'll see something else that kicks off. Because we still have yet to see that cutscene with Zavala and Osiris and the Cabal and whatever the hell that was.
Mhm.
So possibly,
Yeah.
but it is strange to have the crow freed and he's still kind of shacking up in Spider's lair, considering he has a room in the EDZ.
Yeah. So the idea is at the end, after you kill the Hive Celebrant, you've worked with Crow and Osiris in order to kill the Hive Celebrant. You go back to Spider. Spider basically says, anything in here you can have. You can just have it. Anything that you want. And instead of all the ghosts that are hanging in netting around him, you decide, the crow's I'll take the crow. I'll take that.
Doesn't he have a Gallahorn too? Just saying, doesn't Spider have a Gallahorn too? Are we really picking Crow over a Gallahorn?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, honestly. And so you free Crow, Spider kicks you out of his lair. As Aura said, you come back in and Crow's still living in the spare room of the lair.
But no, like literally the next quest step is go and talk to Spider.
Yeah. Even though you've already talked to Spider.
What are we going to talk about? We couldn't talk about when I was just there.
I don't know. I mean, so in the lore, I think Glint is still the ghost is still rigged with explosives.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no mention of that post. So maybe that's something that'll happen in the
I hope
coming
so.
weeks?
Because I hope they don't leave that just kind of like out there, like forgotten.
So
why would we free him and not tell him that, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
well, he knows.
If you pick him, you're free. By the way, you might want to, because Spider already told us that he's rigged to blow.
Yeah.
You want to get your ghost looked at.
Yeah.
But no, we're just going to... Are we the asshole?
I think we are. Because not only did we murder him, but now we're freeing him. And his ghost still has explosives on him. So...
Yeah. Which Crow knows.
Yes. I don't know.
But yeah, let's see.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a... Maybe it's like a situation like in South Park. Where like they killed Kenny.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. Maybe Crow's Kenny.
I think it's too soon for that.
Yeah. Too many people have fallen in love with Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Possibly. We also had and this season we also have to do the Hawk Moon repeatable mission.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Totally
Yeah.
forgot about that.
That's coming in at some point. We don't know when that's coming in.
Yeah.
But and Pin says that in the lore book, Crow sees the modifications for Glint. So he definitely knows that he's about to go bye bye.
He knows it. That actually, so that particular like lore piece, I really recommend people to read it by Lightrazer. Because it's actually like it's kind of like hit me in the feels. It's it's really well written.
Sorry, had to get that all.
No, I haven't read it yet. I spent all week charging my lore so that I could do the mission because I haven't done anything with my lore up until this week because I didn't know the lore existed because I forgot that this season was even a thing. So
I don't blame you.
I spent the week farming strikes, which is one of my favorite things to do. Yeah.
This man loves
especially with blueberries. Playlist. We still don't know to pass the orb around in the strike with on the Dreaming City, and it's just like we're still struggling with that concept to break the shields of the enemies, and And it's so much fun for me to learn that about the people who play the game, is that they have no idea how to play it. And so I spent all week doing that. And there's ways you can rank your lore up faster. You can get more rep as one of the options for the modification. So that helped out a lot. And now I guess I have to get all the weapons and stuff and shoot things with the weapons and do hunts with the weapons on or something.
It feels like
Sadly,
a lighter.
not doing that.
It feels like a lighter Season of the Undying in that regard.
Yep.
I
That
didn't
was
know
like
you could
my
get lighter than
least
Season of the
favorite.
Undying.
Hmm?
And that's
That
a
was my-
really low bar for content too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we've somehow gotten lower.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because they tied like some of the best story and lore to activities that I couldn't give a flying about. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, just it's so weird
Yeah.
that seasonal content didn't crescendo to boss fights that were actually like legitimately boss fights either.
Yeah.
Like the Season of Undying and the Undying Mind comes back and you like shoot it once with an anarchy and it like just the impact of the anarchy alone kills it.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that's what we built up to. And then it was like the boss for the Wrathborn hunt, the
Mhm.
Zevo Wrath or whatever, person like Hive, whatever,
Mhm.
wasn't difficult. Even solo, there wasn't a whole lot to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then like you go back to the Sundial, I think had the most challenging and the most build up to, and including the missions along the way. And like that kind of to me set a bar for seasonal content,
Mhm.
even in a content drip fashion that this just didn't have.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
I
It's-
agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
The the best thing that the best seasonal event that they've done really this in this past year, because like Menagerie was a seasonal activity, but like it was awesome. It was really well worth doing.
But
for
that was also a
inspiration.
different studio that working in
Yeah.
tandem. Like it's not fair to compare seasonal content to that because they don't have the same resources that they had at that point.
That's true.
You know, there's a lot that
Right.
was involved in Season of Opulence. So if I'm going to compare, I think where do we start? Season of Undying, right?
Yeah.
Was that the first
Yeah.
MG exclusive? So we go from there forward, and they've proven that they can hit the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And this just like really far off.
Well, and it also dropped with the DLC, right? So you have the comparison being like with Shadowkeep, you had Season of the Undying, and it almost felt like there was like too much rolling for that seasonal title. Because how many hundreds of like kills did you have to get with certain weapons
That was too
Oh.
much. Too much.
during those like Undying cycles?
Yeah.
But then like with this, it almost seems like too light. Where like both of the stories that are going on in tandem, while interesting, don't really feed into one another. And at least like
hmm
with Shadowkeep and the Vex showing up on the moon at that time, it felt like it was going on at the same time and played in tandem with one another in an interesting way. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it does, like, this story does feel a little disconnected compared to how you mentioned the moon and the Vex invading.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that like the overall story that they've put out for the Crow has been really good. It just doesn't feel like it was implemented like the right way.
Yeah.
Because like I honestly, the only reasons why I've only ever interacted with the Wrathborn hunts isn't for the loot. It's for the dialogue between Osiris, Crow, and Glint.
Mm-hmm.
Because outside of that, really, like, I think the loot for Wrathborn hunts falls really, really short. I think maybe the grenade launcher is probably like the best thing to get out of that with like chain reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, this feels like most disconnected season in a while. Because Season of Arrivals, in my opinion, was pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so going from that to this, it feels just a little, I don't know.
The other thing is like what got added to the game that's going to provide longevity the same way that Warmind cells and being charged with light has.
Right.
Like we're soon coming up on a point in time where those aren't going to be options for added damage and ad control, correct? Like is that approaching relatively soon, I would imagine, or no?
I thought.
So like Warmind's like as long as you can put on like the Warmind cell where solar splash damage creates Warmind cells, their Warmind cell builds are still technically going to be like usable. It's just not. You're gonna have way less weapons to be able to use it for. You're gonna have to use like exotics for it.
Because
Right, because these weapons,
right?
yeah, they get sunset, I think, next season, at the end of next season.
Oh no, Season of Arrivals. Once those get sunset, because you can make Warmind cells with Ikelos weapons.
No, right, but they reintroduced the Seventh Seraph weapons, which should
Right.
also be able
Yeah,
to
they're-
create war.
Yeah, they
mines.
are because I use the AR almost exclusively in PvE. So
Right, but I'm saying like those get sunset at the end of next season, correct? Or is it?
Yeah. Next
Yeah,
season.
okay.
I think so. But yeah.
So yeah, you have a couple more months.
but it
with
doesn't
that.
feel like anything was added this time around that's gonna like
Add that
I
longevity.
yeah, right. No,
No.
I couldn't even tell you the mods that got added this season, if any. I think there's mods specific to the raid, which I've run
the
Yeah,
raid
probably
mods.
60 times, and I don't know what they are, or what they do, or why they matter.
Yeah, you don't need them.
And
Yeah,
The raid is. It's easy enough that you don't ever need to touch those mods and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
yep.
I think I on my Titan on the class item, the only mod that I run for the raid is the one that gives you heavy if you're not running like a certain augment. Which I think that's a unique thing that they did, was like allowing you to have dual mods.
Hmm.
So like with the suppressor augment, you take decreased damage from powerful foes, and then there's another version of it that says your weapons deal additional damage to non-powerful enemies. And I think if you don't have the augment, it just gives you heavy, an extra chance at heavy or something like that. So it's just kind of like small passive things that help you when you're not as experienced. But once you hit that experience floor where you know what you're doing in the raid, you don't need them at all with the right build.
Right.
Yeah, like
That's
even
true.
going at a day one experience, like those mods are like the strength of those mods are for like a day one experience, like that level of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
They're not meant for like when everyone is like, what is it, like 20, 30 levels over now?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense, and you're right. I personally like have at least in this season, I've never touched those mods like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I really haven't found a like a proper reason to do so.
They're not really needed.
No, they're not, which is a shame because they're they're really cool.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to look through my vault here to see what else. Like armor from this season still is able to grab the Warmind cell,
Yep.
right?
All armor is able to accept every type of mod, except raid mods.
So technically that build wouldn't be going away anytime soon, right?
Nope.
It's just we haven't had anything added to the pool that's as groundbreaking.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. That's tricky. Like so here's a question for you guys. What games are you playing outside of Destiny right now? Or are you playing games outside of Destiny right now?
I've been watching more anime than playing games lately,
Mm-hmm.
and just like clearing up the back burner that's been building up for like the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have been sucked into Dark Souls again.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what's taken my entire gaming time the last couple of months, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The only time where I boot up Destiny now, it's if friends want to play Crucible together. But often there comes like, I'll want to do a match, and I play 1 or 2 games and then call it a day there.
Yeah. You're using it more as a party game than like
Correct.
a hobby game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm not a title chaser, so those are, those have little motivations for me to log on
Mhm.
and do that kind of stuff and like find the penguins and all that stuff. I really don't care too much for that. So I'm a loot guy. I'm a fashion guy, and currently it's very light for stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Aura, have you been playing anything outside of it?
I think I might take a shot at the title for the seasonal title and the raid title.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't give a shit about Conquer or Flawless.
Mhm.
But that's really been maybe some Triumph. I don't know. The Triumph score system got so goofy, and just doesn't make any sense at all compared to what it. Not that it made a lot of sense before, but it doesn't make any sense to me at all now. So I'm not even sure how much I care about pouring time and effort into that. I mean, when you get more points for doing all arc versus doing a flawless raid, you've kind of lost me in your thought process a little bit. And when you see step scores of 2 and total scores for a whole chapter of like 200, I'm like, I don't know where we're coming from with this or why the change was even implemented in the manner of which it was. So I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I have a hard time booting up Destiny because I spent 5 years being a Crucible player, and Stasis has removed any desire for me to play Crucible. And if I don't have desire to play Crucible, I don't have a whole lot of desire to play Destiny at all. And I wouldn't say that Bungie's losing me to other titles. I just find that I'm not gaming. I'm just doing other things. I'm watching TV. I'm doing stuff around the house. I'm playing with Layla. Like there's not really anything that I find drawing me to this. And even things that are kind of neat where you got these lost sectors that you can farm solo for exotics. And it's like, but there's no other way to get them. And like, I've never been a guy who's been a fan of champions. And so now I've got to do these particular builds to in order to deal with that. And if I don't kill them all, I don't get the loot. And it's like, I don't, as a first person shooter, never felt like you should have this much thought process that goes into it. Like the most thought process that went into our builds in D1 was like our stats, right?
Yeah.
Even then, like I wasn't this crazy stat builder. I didn't care. I was a function over form player, and it's become harder to be that given the way that they've made changes even to PvE. You know what I mean? Like
I think the changes in that where it's disconnected you is the fact that Destiny went from a first person focused shooter to an RPG light shooter. Where you have build crafting and enemies that take certain weapons to like destroy and whatnot. I think that it's at least that's what it sounds like.
No,
they
it's
lost
100% accurate, and it's taking away from the things that I enjoyed because you got that same effect in D1 without having to do it. Like when you had D1 Nightfalls, you got everything that current Nightfalls give you without having to worry about champions. They still kicked your ass just as much. They were still as challenging. If anything, they were more rewarding depending on what time period you were playing them, at least to me. And so, and when you go into raids and you've got this contest mode modifier, you're again giving everything that you get. So it just like you start to lose me when I can't play my way.
Right.
And that's where I start to have issues because I don't mind discovering new weapons. Like if I'm running strikes the way I was this week just to charge my lore, whatever drops, whatever's on my character, I'm not doing all this crap to like maximize my strike effectiveness. You know what I mean? So I'm running out sidearms or whatever the hell I have. And
Mhm.
like, I don't mind that. I don't mind discovering new ways to play. I don't like being told
Mm-hmm.
new ways to play. And so that's where I'm starting to lose my interest in the franchise and the way and the direction that they're going with stuff. I
Yeah.
like the fact that they brought back ways to play story missions, because
Yeah.
I thought that was a good feature before the content vault occurred. And so, but I don't like having to go do a patrol and pick up these things and kill these enemies and use my finisher this many times to gain access to it. I think
Mhm.
you actually gain the ability to just go directly to it after a certain amount of times that you do these things. But like the hunts, having to jump through hoops to get to the hunts kind of drives me a little bit crazy. It's a little bit
Yeah.
of a turnoff in order to gain accessibility to it. And
You're t-
that's
And that was changed, by the way, because it was worse.
well, and you're talking about the ones that you get from directly from Varix, right? The
Yeah.
storylines. Yeah, yeah.
right. So it's, you got to go here, you got to do a patrol or a public event, and then you
Mhm.
got to go. And it's like, if I want to replay the mission, just like, why am I wasting my time doing nonsensical
Yeah.
things in order to gain access to it? I'm
Right.
not unlocking it. I'm not having to craft a key to open the door to do it. So like, a lot of that has been a turnoff for me as well. And it's a shame because I think Europa is pretty magnificently done.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily mind having to revisit the Tangled Shore or the Dreaming City, but I just don't like having to jump through hoops. And I guess that's the way MMOs work. They are
Mhm.
they are
Yeah.
jump through hoops kind of things, but it just feels like it's there for the sake of being there, not actually like performing a
Just-
function. Like when you had to forge a weapon, it felt like it made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go here, you got to use this weapon, you got to get this many kills, you got to collect these pieces and parts to put it together. That's not happening here.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening here is just beautifully hollow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like for activities that you've played like hundreds of times already.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm currently right now. I'm at the point in the game where, the most interesting pieces of content are I'm running solo, which is not normally how I play Destiny. I know I like playing
Mhm.
Destiny with a group. I like using it as a party game, like Nem does. I like running in raids and all that. The Lost Sectors, I'm having a lot of fun with, especially the 1280s, because I like how they're structured to get you the new faster. Like
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
the only place where you can get the new exotics. But if you're running with the team, you don't really have a fair shot at it, if I'm understanding that process correctly, right?
Mhm.
I thought you had to do it solo, otherwise there's no like if
Yeah.
you even to like you're
Yeah,
not
you can't get the exotic if you run a fire team.
Right. And so like those have been some of the most fun that I've had in Destiny. Like this past week they had the one that's it's the labyrinth on
Yeah.
in the Cosmodrome. There is in the 1280, I was doing it for the Mask of Bacchus. And I go jumping across the chasm and I turn the corner and there's an unstoppable ogre. Like just
Right
there,
around the corner.
yeah, just greeting me. And it was one of those like fuck moments, like like in true like Taken King, that first phalanx shield that you see, that first Taken
Yeah.
phalanx that like bops you over the edge. It was
Yeah.
that kind of feeling, and that's the closest that I've gotten to that feeling in Destiny 2. For
That's
that,
fair. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
that was probably the most satisfied I've been since like
A random ogre around a corner.
yes, since after Beyond Light dropped. Like after you
Yeah.
get done with the raid, after you start running the raid a few times,
Yeah.
that was probably like the most refreshing experience I had, was just going around the corner and just getting completely domed by an ogre. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm at the point now. It's not so much burnout; it's just not knowing what else
It's
to
hollow.
do. Yeah.
It's hollow. Like with something like this coming out, and And I know this is just going to be repeating things that the community has mentioned, rightly so, over the past couple of months, but just not having enough new strikes, not having any new PvP maps, still not having like proper strike exclusives, like that. That all has taken away a lot from the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like the most simplistic way to look at this is fun trumps everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not fun for me. And that doesn't, when I say something like that, I'm not trying to take away from anybody else and their enjoyment. If you are having fun, I'm more than happy for it. I'm not going to try and convince you that you shouldn't be. All I'm simply saying is that my draw to play Destiny and my reason for playing Crucible for 6 hours a day for 5 years was because it was endless amounts of fun. Nobody enjoyed annoying other opponent players more than me. I promise you. Nobody took greater joy in making people miserable in the Crucible than me running around with an Erentil and a Galran's right hand shooting unbroken hunters. Nobody. And I can't even bring myself to use Stasis. And I like pissing people off. I like making people miserable in Crucible. And that has made it not fun for me. And so
just quick question. Like, have you taken Stasis into PvP at all?
I have no desire to. I have absolutely no desire to freeze anybody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
None. The part of the reason why I took such great pride in my craft was I enjoyed beating players as good or better than me when they were at their best, when they had their loadout, when they are thriving, when they are using what they're using in their environment. That's how I like to play. And that's not happening. I'm not getting anybody at their best now. I'm getting whoever can cheese the fastest on abilities that should be supers that you get every 20 seconds if you're built correct with mods correctly and with weapons correctly. Like there's no reward to it anymore. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't have any desire to use Stasis in PvP.
Gotcha.
Stasis in PvE is pretty neat. I'm still learning. I haven't mastered it yet, but this isn't the Crucible that I fell in love with. This isn't the game that I fell in love with.
Do you see them hitting the Stasis supers pretty hard? Like, do you see them nerfing them anytime?
I don't know how you can. I don't know. Like, this is your flagship product that started your 6th year on this journey. You know what I mean? Like, people worked very hard on this, and I don't mean to take anything away from the people who built this game. I don't want to knock the devs for the work that they did, the play testers, none of that. Yeah. So, but I don't know how you make that change. I don't know how you look at it and be like, yep, we were so wrong. We're going to delete the entire subclass. So it's like,
you got to be committed now with it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so what do you do from here? And my thought process is, do you bring all of the light? I sent a tweet about this. It's like, if Stasis freezes, then instead of burn damage on solar subclasses, they should melt. Void subclasses should engulf or turn into a damage over time decay, entrapment, you know what I mean? And arc subclasses should literally like electrocute versus whatever they do now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything needs to be brought to a level.
It should have like an inherent arc web instead of it just being like a perk on one of like the nodes.
So something like that, or we should be looking at Void being some form of like constant suppression. Yeah. I can counter Stasis if I can constantly take it away from you. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I do something with stuff that pulls your abilities and slows your ability regens down and takes that out, then I might be somewhat maybe more inclined. But it seems to me like if that were the route that they were to go, that they would be devolving the game to more of what I would hate versus what I would enjoy as a player. Right. Or but like there's a absolute blatant outlier. And I've never been a proponent for balance. I don't want balance because balance isn't fun. Like I don't look at Overwatch, which isn't completely balanced, and be like, dude, that looks like so much fun. It looks like visual vomit.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like colors threw up on the screen a lot of times.
Yeah.
Paladin seems to do a relatively decent job with balance, but this is a space fantasy shooter. It shouldn't have balance, but at the same time, there shouldn't be outliers that are light years from the curve. You don't have a curve and then have the outlier be 5 houses down the block when I'm sitting right here, right? And that's what Stasis does to everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's pretty oppressive.
And Radaka brings an interesting Radaka in chat brings an interesting point. He's even in like the lore of the game, like darkness in the Crucible doesn't make sense. Right? Because you're using power, like you're using darker powers to then better your enemies, right? Or like beat the light in some way to kind of like prove some point.
I'd have to defer to Nem for the lore of what the Crucible is on that one.
I mean, I do remember originally, and this was back in D1. I don't know if this has been retconned, but I remember that the whole point of the Crucible in Destiny 1 was for Shaxx to train Guardians so they can fight against the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have it, it's a little different. But at the same time though, like back then, darkness wasn't like
defined.
Really defined.
Yeah.
Well,
darkness could be just Hive, Vex, Fallen, because that's what they were referred to, minions of darkness for years and years.
And you also had stories about like, and now that I'm thinking back on the lore and everything, you also had stories about the Knights of Yore, I think they were called, or the
Shadows.
Yeah, the Shadows of Yore that were talked about using Thorn in the Crucible, and Shaxx was upset about it.
So the thing with the Shadows of Yore and like in PvP, it was because they also had replicas of Thorn, which Thorn can kill a Guardian, because that's technically what kills Sundance, Cade's ghost. The sniper shot that the Scorn used was a Devourer round, which can kill a ghost. But I mean, if that's the case, we've been using Thorn since D1, so that has never made sense.
Yeah. So even lore-wise, it doesn't really have.
Yeah.
That
I don't know that the solution is removing the stasis from Crucible, though.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, as much as I'm against it, as much as it's killed my desire to play, I don't necessarily know that that's the solution to the issue.
Well, and from what we've seen in the community, like, or at least people talking about like different cooldowns and the inability to freeze outside of super, we've talked about that here as well. Like, there has to be some way to balance it.
I feel like making changes like that would have effects on PvE, though.
Yeah,
it would. Like if you were just like, for example, like the Warlock melees and instant freeze, switching that in PvE to like slow only would completely just invalidate most of the fragments and aspects that the subclass has.
I mean, because I don't know how things work behind the scenes, I don't know how you tune it. But in my brain, you would adjust the values that it does in the Crucible to the point where maybe it takes 2 different hunters throwing whatever that star is at somebody and connecting for it to freeze. Maybe it takes.
Well, that already works that way.
It takes 2 to freeze, right?
Yeah, 1 is slows, the second to freeze.
Right. So my thought process would be that you would need to then connect 4 or 3 for it to freeze. So you'd have to have 2 hunters in order to freeze 1 person, kind of thing. Value numbers on Warlock melees, so it has to do a certain amount of damage for it to freeze in Crucible versus its slow. But I don't know how this would affect the PvE side of things, and this subclass feels like it was designed for PvE, but is just way more powerful in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we run the raid. We're not all like, let's go to our stasis subclasses. You know, we're
Yeah.
still running well. We're still running bubble. We're still running tether. Like, it's not changing any of the ways that I believe that we're taking a shot at most of PvE stuff. I don't watch people run Grandmasters, so I don't know if stasis plays a role in Nightfalls or not. But
It's pretty great for like champions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of mods on there that make stasis pretty fantastic for the overloads. I want to say it's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overload.
well, God knows it's not the auto rifles, because
no, like the way it works and with there's 2 mods currently in the seasonal artifact that allows you to suppress or overload a champion with a grenade. And there's another mod that you can run in tandem with it that when you overload a champion with the grenade, it gives you the grenade back, and it works with both solar and stasis grenades. So you can technically just keep, an overload champion like staggered eternally.
Yeah. And also, like, we were running like the 1250 Nightfall earlier, and like what a stasis super does to any champion, it basically, like, if they get frozen, they basically get thrown off keel. It doesn't matter if you have the those mods on or not. It'll like push them into their like knocked back formation.
Interesting.
So at least on that, I'm just thinking of that ogre on the hill, Nicholas, one of the guys that I was helping. He just went full ham on the guy, and I had my hand cannon ready to like shoot the shot. But he was just plowing into him, and it would lock him up, and it would make the sound of like its
Stun.
of its stun.
Mhm.
Which was nuts.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. It's a complicated subject.
yeah.
Hmm.
So with that, we talked a little bit earlier about like the titles that came up. Other than you, Aura, like, are there any is anybody going for titles right now?
No.
I probably will soon, but only the titles that are actually going to go away this season. Like,
Yeah.
fuck Flawless, because Trials right now is terrible. It's really, really bad. Like, Slayridge posted that it took him 9 hours to get to 6 wins on his card twice.
Ooh.
My friend Apollo like didn't go flawless in like 11 hours. Like, I'm not sure if it's this map or just like it's definitely a bunch of stuff, but like Trials just is not good right now. Like, I know we're always saying that, but right now it just feels like there's no point in playing.
Can we just admit that Trials hasn't been good in Destiny 2?
Yeah, I'm willing to admit that.
Like, just period. In the 3 years of Destiny 2, Trials has just never been good.
Yeah.
And I feel like they didn't do of all things that they copy and paste. I don't have a problem with copy and paste because I know how much hard work it has to go into a game like this. I don't care about reskins. They don't bother me that much. I don't mind weapons that we've already had in the past making their way forward. That's fine with me.
Mhm.
But the things that do work, like Trials worked in Destiny 1, and a large part of that was bounties and gear at 357 and reasons for players who are not PvP gods to get involved, being involved in it. And none of it's available now. Adept weapons. I mean, I just saw a Glue tweet that he got his Adept sniper rifle had like a charge mod on it.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's a running meme or something, but like,
I think that was a troll.
Okay.
Because you can't put the charge mod onto the sniper.
I was going to say, like, what is even going on in regards to the loot? But the added weapons, I don't see anybody. Usually when something really hot hits the market, you see the Twitter feed filling up with pictures of it and all the rolls that they got. And all I've seen is people being like, this sucks. Like the Adept mod is great, but if I use it, it's going to take the place of something that actually has more utility to it. So now you're devaluing Adept weapons. There's no reason to get involved in it. And not only that, and like, this isn't a knock on the players who do it, but like the recov market has wreaked havoc on the average player partaking in it, because now they don't have to. Now they can just have somebody else run their stuff for them.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry with any of the aggravation involved in doing so, and still reap all of the rewards. So you're seeing players that might actually normally take a shot if the gear was approachable and say, you know what, dude, no, you run this for me. Here's like whatever, however many subs I got a gift, whatever money I got to kick to you. You deal with this nonsense now instead of me. And it's like, you can't fault the people doing it. You kind of have to fault the consumer for supporting it. And it's like, this is wreaking havoc with the environment. Like, there's a reason why top 1% players are not going flawless in 11 hours. Right? So what you're getting is you're getting 3 of the best players who ever played the game they're in the player pool for 16 hours straight, running everybody, freight training everybody, right? Because all it takes is 2 losses for your card to be shit. So does trials just like you just get access and you go infinitely until you get 7 wins at all, period? Is that the path forward? Doesn't matter how many games you lose, as long as you win 7 games over the course of the weekend, you can go to the Lighthouse.
Yeah,
I'm glad that Dylan's going flawless and having a good time doing it. That's wonderful. You are like the exception. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know if I love that. Like, community manager is supposed to enjoy playing the game, but I don't necessarily know that I enjoy them talking about how they went flawless over the course of a weekend where like nobody's having fun. It's vocally everywhere that nobody's having fun. Everyone is expressing in a respectful manner as to why they're not having fun. It just feels a little tone deaf.
That's fair. I mean, we've also haven't had a TWAB yet, so they might talk about it next week.
Yeah, I think
considering PvP has been like the hottest of topics for a long time now.
I just checked the Destiny tracker before we started. And so yesterday, for everyone who wants to say that this is a PvE game, which is just a mindless statement, yesterday PvE players 948,000 to 720,000 Crucible players. That's a pretty massive amount. So like that argument doesn't fly. This game is a PvP game just as much as it is a PvE game. I don't know what those people were doing or where they maybe console is a lot easier. I don't know. I haven't I feel like I'm out of touch with the console community lately. But maybe it's different there than it is on PC.
I've heard things are different if you are running a PS5 than a PS4, and mainly because of the field of view and the frame rate.
Are they playing against each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
That shouldn't happen.
It's very painful. When I played on trials on Bannerfall that weekend, that was.
I think they only.
Are you on a PS5 or PS4?
Or I was playing with people on PlayStation 5, and I just couldn't.
Was anybody that you were playing with on a PS5?
Yes.
That's why.
Is that how it's sorted?
No. I believe so.
No, I've matched people on PlayStation 5 just as a solo and quick play.
Well, if anybody in that particular lobby is with someone on PS5, then sure.
I don't think crossplay is going to go as well as a lot of people assume it is in a PvP sense. We'll see.
PvE, it's going to be fine. Everyone's going to be happy. But the second people on Xbox One are matching aimbotters from PC, it's going to be a huge problem.
Which leads to a question that kind of came from my chat earlier today. Do you think that then draws a line for sunsetting older consoles? Like how we had Taken King was the delineation, right? Or was it Rise of Iron? When it was like
Rise of Iron.
when it was like, yeah, past gen's no longer going to be like kept up with.
Right.
We're going to move forward with PS4 only,
People
PS4
can't
and Xbox
get-
One only.
People can't get consoles. You can't
Right
buy a
now.
PlayStation 5 or an X. Right. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
maybe by then things will stabilize, but you can't sunset an entire console that the game was engineered on when nobody can get access to the one that's going to replace it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you can't get graphics cards for PC. You can't get consoles. Like there's, I that would be a conversation that at the time of it occurring, which is most likely, Verdock is right, 2022,
Mm-hmm.
you can make a valid argument for it. But as of today, there's 0% chance of that happening right now.
Yeah. Gray Fox did say in chat they did stop production on PS4 in Japan outside of the Slim, so it is going to come quick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's not about people buying it on freshly purchased PS4s and Xboxes. It's about people who already have it on those consoles and haven't yet moved to the next one. So if you
Yeah.
sunset it and you can no longer play it, like, sorry, you got to spend $500 or whatever if you want
Yeah.
to play Destiny again.
Well,
That
it would be its own form. It would be its own like form of sunsetting. It wouldn't be a sunset, so to speak. It would be like a fork, right? Where progress wouldn't
Yeah.
remain the same.
So we could actually use like what happened with Destiny 1 like as the example, because like that it came out for like actually a year after the new consoles came out. People couldn't get them, and then 2 years later, that's when they cut support for it. Like, so 2022 is like probably the best guess of when they're actually going to cut them out.
I think at that time you're fine, but anything
Yeah.
until
Yeah, this year definitely not.
you could see COVID being a reason as to why that would even get pushed back further,
Mm-hmm.
because it's as messed up supply chains of everything all the way across the board. I mean, I work in manufacturing, so
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's from what I understand. PS5s, and I haven't heard anything Xbox Series X related, but anecdotally, I would think that they would have the leg up in against an older gen console.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's weird. We're back in one of those weird stages in Destiny. It feels like like
So
we're-
soon too.
Yeah. It's not that the hype from Beyond Light has gone away. It's just like it's a little less shiny, I guess.
Yeah.
So
And like this is gonna be it. This is what we're gonna be seeing for the foreseeable future of Destiny, because they're they only have so much manpower, and
mhm.
alongside developing a new IP.
like
Yeah.
Witch Queen is next, right?
Which queen is
Yes,
next?
sir.
And that's September, slated for September.
September, correct.
It is
Roughly,
slated
yeah.
for
Ish.
September?
Well, fall of this year.
Like Q4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds farther away than it really is. If we all,
Mhm.
we'll be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, 2020 flew by in a weird way.
Yeah.
So
In an awful way.
yeah, in an awful way. Outside of that, I mean, you guys want to get to questions? Start wrapping
Yeah,
this
sure.
up?
Let's do it.
All right. So, I'm just going to say Coffee asks, what are your thoughts about Bungie adding a game mode where you can't use supers, abilities, or heavy? It's purely just a gun game mode. What would you guys think?
Yes. Yes.
I posted that on Twitter like a month ago, and people were like, "No!"
Please.
It's like and I specifically mentioned it's like as a rotator, and they're like, "No, don't take my stuff away." It's like, bro, fucking read the tweet.
I'd
As
be
a
fine with that,
rotator.
except for the class abilities of, Titan
Like
Barricade,
grenades and melees?
Rift, and Shade
Yeah.
Step. Because there's movement that's tied to some of these things, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Mhm.
the part of what makes this such a satisfying and a borderline negotiable competitive game is the movement. And so when even aspects of and no pun intended, of Stasis, like the way that you've increased the ability for Titan movement, the fact that Shatter Dive, if it did no damage whatsoever, would still be advantageous in terms of its movement that it allows you to have. Like when you take those away, you're going to also take away gunplay. That's all. It's tied into one. You can't separate them out. They are one in the same. So, as much as I'd like to say, yeah, that sounds great. Our Guardians jump like 3 inches off the ground if they don't have an actual jump from their classes tied to them. Like, if you pull that, am I not going to have double jump? Like, what? How? Where do we stop if we say no abilities, gunplay only? Like, where's the line where we right? Because I mean, it's serious. Like those jumps are tied to your class trees.
I just,
It would have to honestly be like a default, like, you know, or like a default grenade and like just a regular melee without any effects and like no super.
I don't know if I could get behind that. I don't know if I'm all about that.
I just got a really weird image in my head of every character just doing the same jump, and like that's all they're doing in order to get around the map.
Like that's the movement because you're so used to running and sliding, so like and hopping and so like we look like we're on pogo sticks or something, but they're like miniature pogo sticks. Like we don't get off the ground without our light, guys.
Right.
Like we don't move.
Trying to mantle into places that like you could just easily jump to. It's just
parts
like
of the map would be virtually inaccessible. There'd be parts of the map you could not jump up to. We'd have to take like the stairs.
Like the water tower in oh my god, what's that map?
Yeah.
No,
Rusted Lands.
Rusted Lands, yeah.
Half that map would be inaccessible or take 8 years to get to. There might be places you would get stuck if you couldn't jump or mantle. Like,
yeah. Oh man, too funny.
But yeah, like part of me wants to see that just because like the other part of the sandbox is really well balanced right now. I feel like at least the gun game feels amazing, super balanced. But like, I don't know. I also now I just want to see. I want to now make like this an event where nobody's able to use their abilities. It's just pure gunplay, and you can't double jump or ability jump
or skate or float or just
anything.
Bunny hops only.
You're bunny hops. You're sucking your knees to your chest, and that's it.
There's a mode in Call of Duty. I don't know if it still exists, but there was a mode in one of the Call of Duties. I think that it was called Bare Bones. Where like you could run without any skill perks, any attachments. It was just you and your gun. Pretty fun.
Oh my god.
That's what like a concept like this would remind me of.
I'm sorry. My heart hurts with how much fun that would be. Just to watch. Gray Fox asks, with the start of a new year and the state of PvP on a delicate string and the state of the game getting carved out by the community, what can we as veterans do to help this issue? Voice your concerns?
Yeah.
Just
stop playing.
That's another
honestly,
no response is a response.
I mean, like that. The only way I can give feedback about the Crucible is by not participating at this point, because everything else we've tried. We've tried podcasts, we've tried posts, we've tried the forums, we have tried everything that we possibly can to get our points across. And when you give feedback and you talk about how bad something is, how much you don't enjoy it, but you still spend 16 to 18 hours doing it, your feedback is useless and meaningless because your actions are not backing up what you were saying. Like
their data is showing them otherwise.
Right. If you're a Trials Sherpa and you're doing 18-hour streams playing Trials, somehow how miserable you are, all they see is you playing 18 hours.
Yeah.
Like the feedback you're providing is not going to matter. So if you really want to make a statement as a veteran that's going to make a difference in the future, you have to put the game down. You have to stop spending money on it. You have to play something else. And it sucks because no other game plays the way Destiny does. Trust me. That's why I don't play games at all anymore, because nothing gives me the feel of the shooter movement aspect that this game at its core offers. Nothing that I've found. So that's it.
It's true. I know it feels like such a cop-out answer, like just play other games, bro. But it's true. If Bungie sees that people are not interacting with particular content, they're going to be like, all right, well, what what's going on here? Like, what's
Right.
wrong with it?
Why are people slumping
but-
off?
Right, exactly. That's why I've taken to other games, because there's just nothing currently in the game that like I really wanna do. I really haven't participated in a Nightfall in so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't feel like they're rewarding. I haven't touched the Strike playlist because again, it's something that there's no reason to run them constantly, as opposed to their D1 counterparts that each had a Strike exclusive that you constantly could grind for. So, and until something like that is added, I cannot see myself like playing those core activities, because there's honestly no point.
Especially after you hit Pinnacle. Like,
Mhm.
once you hit Pinnacle, it's like I am looking at this more and more as a party game, where it's like
Absolutely.
I get to hang out with my friends and play it, and
Mhm.
it's a thing that we share doing. But outside of that, I don't find myself spending much time grinding for anything,
Absolutely.
going for anything. So,
Yep. You are not wrong.
Barry asks, would the PvP game benefit from a rock paper scissors mechanic? Stasis half damage from arc, solar half damage from stasis, void half damage from solar, etc. Just as an example.
Oh,
That's a deep one for me. I have no idea.
that really depends. If you're talking weapons, then Destiny doesn't put out enough weapons to even come close to having that working. Like if it's only for, if you're talking PvP, that's going to be a nightmare for them to balance, because then like just certain weapons are just gonna. Okay, so like take Fellwinters for example. That's the number one shotgun that's being used. So to counter like Fellwinters being viable, everyone's gonna have to go to a different subclass.
I think the way that you're talking is like, I feel like that would have the reverse effect, where you're trying to be more effective with something, but people are going to try to make you less effective in the other, like exactly what you said. If I know that Fellwinter's coming and there's something that makes that gun weaker, I'm going to go to that thing. I'm not going to use Fellwinter's because it's stronger against something, if that makes any sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that would be the case. It kind of always felt weird that wasn't in play. Even going back to like my first time playing Destiny, I was like, why are these things different colors, but they don't actually have any reason as to why they're different colors? They're just like, other than breaking a shield on an enemy, like I was like, oh man, do I have to have solar boots so that I'm like a super fire dude? Like I didn't understand at the time. So like I had no idea what the hell was going to happen. I guess I figured I was going to walk around like literally in flames or something, but like it didn't make any sense to me that elements even existed, you know. But so I don't think that could work.
I don't think it works in a world where all weapons have a stagnant burn. I think if we're in year one of D2 where everything, like you could get different burns on different guns, I think that would possibly work, but I don't think it works now.
I mean, like Gnawing Hunger, for example, and just as an auto rifle reference, like there aren't that many effective auto rifles. So like if you're going to use Void, you know, it limits you to one weapon instead of maybe having options. I don't think there's any good Void hand cannons or whatnot.
None.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a neat idea. I don't know if it would work. I've got two more questions and then we'll call it a night. See? Good?
Let's do it.
Radaka asks, when it comes to something like reintroducing Vault of Glass, what would you want to see to make it a different experience?
A different experience?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. The thing with that is that like if you're giving a different experience, then you're changing the nostalgia effect from the first one. Because if you change too much, then it's not the same thing that you remember. But there has to change. Something has to change, because with our sandbox, we're going to steamroll through that.
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a glorified 6-man strike, is what it's going to be. Maybe armor. change up the armor to something different.
Um,
Because I mean, weapons are confirmed to be coming back. So
Yeah.
outside of that, I don't know. Add wyverns, maybe.
Oh, I can guarantee you they're going to be there.
oh yeah, they're definitely gonna be there. There's no way they're not gonna be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They already said overload minotaurs too.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of without messing with the core loop of what that raid was and the nostalgia factor is to add like an extra puzzle in it that is kind of
Mhm.
like what Outbreak Prime or like Divinity was.
Mhm.
Something like that.
Make the Vex Mythoclast into like a puzzle like
Yeah.
that.
Like that would change it yet maintain it.
Yeah.
You
I'm going to
had
keep it simple, and I'm just going to say add a loot drop to the confluxes.
oh, you sweet, sweet, beautiful man.
You know, the hardest part of the entire raid that everybody failed on for some odd reason. Add a loot drop to that.
Who do you think?
That stands to reason.
Who do you think wins worlds first for Vault of Glass?
I don't think
Part
there is
two.
a world's first.
Yeah.
World's second.
World's
Yeah.
first exists. I think Dado got world's first, like, whatever, 6 years ago, right?
Probably.
I thought they got second.
I don't know who got world's first for Vault.
Mm-mm. I don't know, but
I'd be really like I'd be a little upset if Bungie awarded a belt for a completely reintroduced raid, even if there's a change into something like Champions.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
this
I
isn't a
don't
brand
think
new
they
raid.
would.
This is like I don't know.
no, I don't think they would.
What about like a watch wristband?
A lanyard.
Like an actual belt, like a wrestling belt, like a
But it's one of those like '90s
Like,
belts. It's
yeah.
that's like woven, and then
yeah,
it
with the
has
loop
the
you gotta
little
pull through.
loops.
Yeah, the rope. Yeah, the ones that came with cargo shorts in the '90s. Those ones. Yeah.
Nobody knows how to use it, much like the two shells. That was a Demolition Man reference. Anyways, last question of the night. I believe this one only goes to Nem. Crypt Buff wants to know
Oh God.
who's his little void prince.
Oh, I knew it. Crit, I hate you.
I have a question. What the hell is he talking about, Nem?
Yeah.
Let's. I don't know. Nothing. Crit.
Okay.
We're gonna have some words, bud.
Okay.
Is that going to be in private or is it going to be right now?
No, not right now.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that that we got tonight. So, I think that wraps up episode 266 of the Planet Destiny podcast. Thank you all for coming and hanging out tonight. I want to, as is customary, let's pass the mic around to everybody so that they can tell you where they are on the internet. Starting with Lightrazer. Thank you so much for filling in the seat this evening. I appreciate you hopping in, dude.
No problem. You can find me at Lightrazer DD, like pretty much everywhere. Still haven't been able to get rid of the double D's yet. I'm trying.
Oh,
I'm
Leave-
trying.
Let it be, Nem. Let it be.
I know what I said.
Don't encourage. Nem, Nem, where can they find you?
It's pretty much exclusively on Twitter nowadays. Twitter.com/NemPlays. If you want to chat with me there, that's the best play to hit me up or see whatever shenanigans I get up to that week, that day, or that month.
Heck yeah. What about you, Aura?
You can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/evilaura, 3VIL_AURA. And you can find me at twitch.tv/Aura because my stream might actually be making a return in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, things at work might actually be starting to return to normalcy, part of the goals of 2021. So if I can get that together, then I can hit the go live button again.
Hell
Nice.
yeah, dude. Good. Good. We've missed you. I've never had
Dan.
I don't make this transition very well. Hi, my name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's. You can find me on Twitch 3 days a week, twitch.tv/Danfinity. I mean, we're helping people with Destiny stuff for the most part. I think I'm going to be playing some Hades this week, honestly.
Ooh, nice.
I'm having a lot. I've had a lot of fun with that game. It's a run-based roguelike. It's really fun. Gonna try to see if you guys are interested. And it's in the long
Big
run.
brain for me, dude. I need something simpler than that.
Dude, it
I
is.
start going the other way with retro. Like, just give me a Goomba to jump over.
This is surprisingly fun just because it is unlike other roguelikes where I feel like in this game each run is deliberately different than the last, and it also feeds into the story in a time loop way that's just sweet. So other than that, thank you folks for listening to episode 266 of the Planet Destiny podcast, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.